Rasty McGibbon with my producer on this 5-minute major, Devon Johnsen. Devon, thanks for coming on 5-minute major.
Thanks for having me.
So, for my generation, I think we underestimate the importance of social media. As someone younger, different generation, just help me understand the importance of social media.
Well, growing up, a lot of us grew up with iPads in our hands, so that's how a lot of us communicate, and it's just the reemergence and the change of how just people talk, and especially with how athletics are growing, especially with the ACHA, it really helps with getting the word out, because we've had some interviews that some kids didn't even know the ACHA existed, and then because of social media and stuff like that, now they know that it exists, and they're playing full-time collegiate hockey at their school because of it.
Is a fair synonym for social media advertisement, or do you think that social media goes so far beyond that? It's advertisement plus so much more.
Oh, 100%. This is an advertisement in a sense, but you're also giving these kids memories and be able to look back. We've talked about, 10, 15 years from now, these kids are going to look back at these and think like, wow, I was, a collegiate hockey player playing the ACHA at the national tournament. Now, it's not only just advertisement, but it's also memories being made and things people can look back on.
So when you look, like we're using YouTube, we're also using Twitter. Do you think with the ability to retweet, it's kind of like a rock skipping off the surface of the water? Like we're able to throw it, but then there's the skips of everyone that it's able to reach, or how do you kind of visualize how the content that we create here spreads out?
Of course, this is the source. So we are the source for ACHA. What we've been doing is straight just right from the ACHA. The reason why we wanted to get, the Twitter handles and Instagrams for all these other programs is so they can interact with it, share it with their own programs in the schools themselves, and then it'll spread across, bring more students into the programs and hopefully expand the ACHA in that way.
So as someone that does graphic design and social media work as a day job, as a career, do you think that teams that don't have a Twitter, don't have an Instagram, that they're really missing out on a ton of exposure?
I would say to an extent. I'm sure a lot of the programs have a history of, certain sports programs, and, people know them for being good at what sports they're good at. But we talked to a few teams that didn't have Twitters or Instagrams, and that could be an exposure point to help recruiting and stuff like that, especially with my generation, that they all use those platforms. So I definitely think that is something that they could be missing out on.
You're a self-proclaimed, not a hockey guy, not by choice, but yep. You were a college wrestler. Tell me just briefly your pathway from wrestling to graduation to being here with the ACHA.
So sophomore year of college, ACHA's very own Jim Martin had messaged me on Instagram saying some of his boys went to high school with me at Detroit Catholic Central, and they knew that I was a graphic design major in college. So he said, hey, would you be down to do some game day graphics, test it out? I said, sure, I'll do it for free. This will be portfolio work and practice work for myself. Also, you guys will benefit from it too. So your fan base and family, friends will know when the games are and things like that.
And so that was at Michigan State?
That was at Michigan State.
Michigan State, okay.
Yep, and I went to Indiana Tech, so he just kind of reached out to me and it worked out. And then about roughly a month ago, before the national tournament, he said, hey, we need someone to run our social media and do graphics. Are you down? Here I am. So
Fantastic. So when you look, I had done broadcasting historically up until 2022, and then I transitioned and had a studio about 100 feet over there under the bleachers. It sounded like a thunderstorm every night. As we push the boundaries, and someone of my generation that is not social media savvy probably doesn't even know where the boundaries are. Mm-hmm. How do we push the boundaries with the ACHA with social media?
I'm thinking, I've seen a lot of big accounts, maybe I don't want to say anything in specific because I don't want to be incorrect, but I feel like a lot of people are steering away from the professionalism aspect of an organization or a company on social media and more making it conversational and showing that, these are people too. Like a company is like a combination of people. So a lot of it's been you know, comedy and conversational tones on social media, and that seems to bring more of a fan base because it's like, you know, yes, it's professional in most aspects, but at the end of the day, we're all people doing our own thing and enjoying the sports and, you know, schools that we love, and, you know, take a step back a little bit and realize it's bigger than what it is, and let's have fun with it.
As a guy that started out the week 10 days, not a hockey guy, what are some of your takeaways after this experience? I mean, like you've sat there for almost 160 interviews.
Yep.
I mean, if we add it all up, we probably have sat in these chairs for 2 days straight.
Yep.
At least. What are some of your takeaways?
I think the hockey culture as a whole is something completely different than I'm obviously used to, wrestling for 17 years. So, I mean, from, you know, everybody coming up the bus in full dress, looking real good, to go out there and start banging heads and going for a national title, is the whole, and the chirping and, you know, everything that goes around it in the hockey culture. For me personally, is not something I'm really exposed to, but now being here, it's something that's super enjoyable. And I think a lot of people that, if you're not into hockey or have really much experience with it, coming from an ignorant standpoint, I definitely think you should get involved in it in some way, shape, or form.
Last question for you. With all of the social media platforms that are out there, there is some overlap. How do we face the daunting task of integration with all the different platforms? I mean, you know, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's TikTok. What else am I missing?
We can go back to MySpace if you want. I think a big thing, especially with social media nowadays, is consistency. We see with other, you know, people out there who obviously cover the same sport that we're covering now, get ahead and are faster than we are at posting our own things. So I definitely think a consistency and having a team. I mean, not necessarily a one-man army. We have
Sure.
Taylor Hadley and a few other people running the divisional programs and their accounts, but I definitely think consistency and, you know, just keep trucking. I mean, the goal isn't to be viral. Like, if you come out with the sense of just, I want to go viral, I want to be famous on the internet, it's not going to work. It never works. So I think being consistent and being true to ourselves and knowing that, you know, this is the home for collegiate club hockey and we represent that well, I think it'll do wonders. So.
Well, hey, I want to say thanks for all your help. I've had the easy job. I think you've had the hard job. Definitely have gotten exposure out there. And I know that the teams are very grateful for the content that you've been laying down in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Devon Johnsen, my producer, 2024 National Championship.
Like and subscribe.